Hi, everyone. This is Tran Bui in Roswell. So we have heard a term during this coronavirus crisis that has actually impacted our families, our lives, and our community. Yes, I'm talking about social distancing. That's where they say to stand back, stay away, and go home. Joining me now is Andy Williams, who is the executive director of Visit Roswell. Andy, for someone who this is your job to get people out and about, this has got to be tough.
Yeah, this is an interesting situation because our industry's really never dealt like anything like this before, dealt with anything like this before. And, a lot of people are comparing this to 9/11 and to the economic downturn, but frankly, it's worse than that, unfortunately. The travel industry is being hit the hardest and the quickest because of all the different regulations on travel and, the different things that are being put in place to enact social distancing and to encourage it. So we're feeling it firsthand. You see that, I think, at the local level a lot with the different restaurants and in general, just getting out and about and your general tourism activities. But most importantly, we're also seeing it within the hotels too. It drastically affects occupancy levels and which in turns affects a lot of the business we see in Roswell as well. So we are obviously monitoring it closely, but it is dramatically changed what we do essentially overnight as a convention and visitors bureau.
So let's break it down. So Andy has actually been in this position. I kind of consider you like an ambassador, a cheerleader, someone who,
Sure.
like, you truly put yourself out there for Roswell. And he's been doing this for a little over a year. And I just have to show some pictures. Like, your team is amazing. I see you guys out there. You're on social media. You're very engaged. You actually participate in, what's going on in the community. I know that, let me show some of the ads that you've had. It's pretty remarkable because, like, here I'm wearing, my Roswell gear, and I think people are proud to be a part of that. So
Right.
let's talk about that. So what you've done now, up until now, I feel has been really helpful in getting the momentum and the excitement up about being in Roswell and visiting Roswell. So is this a major setback, or what you have done before, is this helping you get through this crisis?
Well, I think it's a setback for CVBs across the country and even global tourism partners and DMOs, just because it's going to drastically affect funding for a lot of these organizations, and the less they have, the less in financial resources, the less they're going to be able to do with in terms of marketing and sales. But we look at it also as an opportunity to take a look at what we're doing internally, to adapt and to see what our partners are doing and how they're adapting. And we've been very impressed with what so many of our partners are doing to do things differently in this time. Because at the end of the day, you've heard that we're all in this together, and everybody is trying to figure out what this even looks like. And we're still early on in the stages with this, unfortunately. So you're starting to see a lot of different hybrid business models. You're starting to see people offer things online and through social media that are a lot more aggressive and being offered differently than they ever have. So for us, we're doing the same thing. The biggest thing I think for us has been the total shift in messaging. We, for the past year, have been extremely aggressive in being out there and being front facing and convincing of people to come into Roswell to not only book group business, but from the leisure side as well. And that's shifting. So, I joke, I'm like, we've essentially become a philanthropic organization without the financial side at this point, because essentially we're just trying to be there for our partners, and we are information sharers. So we, on a daily basis, our staff has been dialing and emailing and texting all of our restaurant partners, our organizations. We check with them on a daily basis to see what this looks like, to check in on how business is, to really get a full understanding. It's not our job to sugarcoat what's going on. I think it's our job to really have a good handle on what we're seeing and the struggles of the restaurants and the other partners, and to see how they're adapting, and to be there for them and to help as best as we can. And with the restaurant list you're showing right there, it's one of the areas where we said we're going to take a proactive approach, and not necessarily be persuasive, but show that, hey, here are restaurants that are offering curbside or to-go orders. Here are the ones that are offering delivery. We encourage people to call the restaurants to speak to them about any health concerns they have around COVID-19. Have that conversation with them, because they're gasping for air. It's a very real look right now with how long they're going to be able to survive based on this model. And I commend them for grinding and making things happen. And for us to be a CVB, to be their marketing partners, it's heartbreaking a little bit to know that, we can be there as much as we can for them. But if the travelers aren't here, then obviously, that has a drastic effect on their business. And then at the local level, even too, you've got folks that business is just down, because of all of the uncertainty around this. So it's taken a toll. And I do think we're going to come out stronger. We try to take a look at a best case scenario timeline for what this looks like. And we've got a plan in place for what we're doing and how we're going to be there for them. But right now, it's, I think, more than anything about being there for the partners, letting them know that we're sharing as many resources as we can, and trying to communicate the messaging in a sympathetic way, more so than a sales and marketing way, if that makes sense.
So we don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, we've only had a week, and and places are actually shutting down. They're not just scaling down; they're shutting down. So you say you do have a plan in place. Should we get extended to not just another week, but months?
Yeah, for us, it's a three-prong approach. Our messaging changes. It's the way we market and the way we sell to our customers, which are our visitors, is going to shift dramatically. What we've done in the past is we've always had an out-of-market approach, because it's our responsibility based on our mission to fill the hotels. We're funded by the hotel motel tax. We want people in the hotels, whether they're here for leisure travel or they're here for a wedding, a mitzvah, corporate group business, or something else. And so the way we do that is we promote to folks that are in feeder cities and drive markets like Birmingham, Nashville, Chattanooga, Greenville, Savannah, places like that. We're still going to do that when we get through all of this. We don't know what the timeline looks like. I've spoken to several vendors to basically be a resource to help rebook business. We're still going to market to those folks, but I think you're going to see a big shift to us marketing more hyper local and regional at this level too. Because once consumer confidence comes back, then we'll be able to move people back around into the restaurants. Then they'll be able to support the partner organizations and the nonprofits who have events that the money they raise from those is critical. And then a huge part of what we're doing too is really trying to convince people that are coming in for group business not to cancel outright. That's something that is going to hurt our venues, and it's going to hurt our destination. If people just decide to cancel outright and wait another year to hold their meeting, or shift it to another destination, that's going to have an impact on the local economy here. So we're trying to work with those clients to say, hey, let's be creative. Let's work with some of these vendors and venues to be flexible. Let's get you maybe into a late summer or a fall date, depending on how quickly we get through this thing. And our team's essentially being a resource there to help navigate those conversations and negotiate with the vendors and the hotels and the venues.
Yeah, I was concerned about many of the hotels that are planning to open. So I'm glad that you are working together with them. What I think is so amazing about Roswell and our community is that in good times and in bad times, we rally. We rally for each other. We rally, for our neighbors. And it only takes like one post on social media and everyone wants to help. So
right.
What can we do? Is there anything we can do now to help?
Yeah, I think most importantly, it's taking a deep breath and saying, hey, we're going to come out of this. What I would encourage right now more than anything is a lot of our partners are really doing some cool things with how they are promoting themselves online and through social. A prime example of that is the Chattahoochee Nature Center, who is holding their 5K tomorrow virtually. So they've enacted people to choose their own course, submit their times on an honor system, but it's thinking outside of the box. And I'm contacted by different partners every day that are really thinking about ways to be safe, to practice social distancing, but to still encourage people to support local businesses through those hybrid style events and things like that. So I think you're going to start to see a lot more of that upcoming. Obviously, we want to work with folks like that to push out that information. You're seeing a lot more, I think, on social media with information sharing. A lot of posts on, what are you looking for when things return back to normal? So we're all about sharing that kind of information. So I would encourage, locals and visitors to seek out the people that make Roswell great, those tourism partners, whether they're restaurants, they're partner organizations like the Chattahoochee Nature Center, attractions, venues, see what they're doing differently. We're talking to people every day. Jackie over at Blooming Heights is doing these small little $30 boutiques that she'll deliver to your house without any face-to-face contact. She leaves them on your doorstep. And that's her way of saying, hey, brighten up your house. We're all stuck inside. How do you bring some more color to the kitchen or the living room? And I think that's a great idea. And so we're starting to see our partners think outside of the box like that. So from a local level, I would say support in that way, follow, share information. And then directly on the group side of things, if you've got family members that are going to be getting married in the future, promote Roswell as a place to come. If you've got corporate travel coming up, if you're a local company and you've been, utilizing hotels outside of the city limits, bring it back to Roswell. I mean, we're going to need this right now. The hotels are going to need this, the restaurants, the many events that have been, postponed or canceled, unfortunately, we're going to need a big bounce back to support those. And we do have a lot going for us. And that's why I love working in this city and I love living here and raising my family here because there is a total cohesiveness, especially in times like this when we need to lean on one another. And we've seen that, I think recently. But, there's more to come, unfortunately. And I think we just have to keep each other top of mind and lean on each other and use each other as a resource when we can.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I mean, right now we're all cooped up at home. This is now the time to get on the phone, get on our devices and spread the word. So you're talking about your family. I know that you are working from home,
Yes.
leisure aware here. So I want to show some pictures of your family. So how has this affect you in your home life? Because I know that you guys are super active and getting out there and really like enjoying all that is Roswell. So how has that been at home?
Well, luckily I have an understanding wife who sees what I do and she's right in the midst of this with me too. And she owns her own company and is having to figure out how to navigate this. I'm putting all of our partners and the community in front of us right now, I think. And luckily I've got a family that understands that. And well, my 1.5 and 3.5-year-old, they don't really get it. They haven't gone to daycare. And so they're having fun watching TV and playing and reading books and all that good stuff. And we've been balancing that. But, I'm on the phone a lot. I'm talking to people a lot. I'm getting reports a lot. We've got a ton of webinars with data sharing that are happening on a daily basis several times throughout the day. So we're very in tune with everything going on. And so luckily, Ryan, my wife, understands that and is able to kind of be supportive on that side, obviously. But, for us, it's just taking it literally one day at a time because that's all we can do. We don't know what this looks like, and necessarily we don't even know what the timeline of it looks like, but we know it's going to have a dramatic effect on travel and tourism, and the CVB's obligation to this community is to bend over backwards for our partners, to be there for them, to help get them through this. We understand even that, marketing and advertising and sales, those are usually the first cuts that go out of a partner or an organization or a business's budget. So if we need to be the organization that really steps it up and assists with that and does things a little bit outside of our scope, we're happy to do that, to be there for those individuals and those companies.
And I'm gonna follow your challenge. I haven't talked to just briefly talked to my boss Lisa on Roswell Snobs, but we will do our part too. We love sharing your posts. Anything that you guys need, we're here. And all business owners out there as well. You're so right. We are in it together, and we're seeing that every day. So I appreciate what you do. I mean, I've watched you really just support this community, and it clearly shows in the support that you get. So
thank you so much.
We're gonna end on a happy note. Mm-hmm. So I just keep saying, when this is over, let's just get to the other side. When this is over, what are you looking forward to doing? What is the first thing you're gonna do? Getting back
into as many of our local establishments, whether they are organizations or restaurants or even our parks, and spending as much reasonable money as I can to get some dollars back into these businesses. Absolutely.
Well, you and I have, and Ryan, we've talked about doing a tour of Roswell. We might just make it a month-long tour and just hit all these places because they're great places. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you get some rest this weekend, and thank you.
We'll try. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.